What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie that I was planning on seeing in the theaters, but did not get the opportunity to, so I ended up watching it on VOD. And this is from Ishana Night Shyamalan, the daughter of M. Night Shyamalan. And throughout the years, we have now seen children of famous directors coming out and making movies, and sometimes they're incredibly successful, and sometimes they don't do such a great job. I just recently this year talked about Caitlin Cronenberg's new movie, which I thought was really bad. But Brandon Cronenberg has been making incredible movies. And, I think people are really hard on Nepo babies sometimes, especially when it comes to directing, because you can't be surprised when one of these kids gets interested in filmmaking when it's such a core part of your family's lifestyle. And so I always try to give these movies a chance because despite them being affiliated with someone who's already had success, they deserve the ability to show success on their own and to do what they want in this industry. And so I was looking forward to see what kind of vision that she would have in comparison to her dad. And the movie I'm going to be talking about with you today is The Watchers. The Watchers is directed by Ishana Night Shyamalan. A young artist gets stranded in an extensive, immaculate forest in Western Ireland, where after finding shelter, she becomes trapped alongside three strangers stalked by mysterious creatures each night. So, as I said, I was looking forward to watching this movie. I was hoping that it would be something new and unique and interesting. And unfortunately, it was not. This is in probably my top 10 worst movies of the year. It was absolutely abysmal. I hate saying this, but I honestly didn't care about a single thing that was going on in this movie. I feel like the introduction to characters, the way that scenes were shot, it was so flat and disengaging, and it made it very difficult to when they tried to shift and make the stakes of the movie really high to care all that much, because you just don't get a whole lot about any of these characters in a way that when they're put in danger that any of it matters. And I'll talk about it a little bit more when I break the movie down. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Mina, played by Dakota Fanning, and we learn early on in the movie that she had a tragedy when she was younger and that it killed her mother, and she has a twin sister who she no longer speaks to. She lives alone, but she works at this pet store. And one day the owner of the pet store tasks her with delivering this bird to a zoo. And he's like, hey, you're going to have to drive through the woods, whatever, but can you do this for me? And she's like, you know what? Fine, I will go do it. So she ends up taking this bird and she's driving there, and her car ends up breaking down. And she gets out of the car and starts wandering through the woods, and she ends up finding this building. And when she gets to this building, this woman opens this door and says, you have 5 seconds to get in here, run as fast as you can. So she has the bird with her. She runs into the room and gets in there, and this older woman, younger woman, and this young man are in this room together. And she closes the door, shuts this mirror off so you can't see anything outside, and she tells her to stand up and stand still. And so she gets up with these other people, stands there, and she hears all these noises outside. And she is told that there are these creatures that live outside that come every single night and essentially watch them. And they just see the three humans as entertainment, and that they're super excited that there's a new person there. And so after the first night, they go outside during the day. Mina quickly finds out there is no means to escape. You can't get out of this forest, but that these creatures will let you roam around during the day. But once nightfall hits, if you're outside of this building, you're killed immediately. And so the entirety of the film is Mina trying to decide what are these creatures and is there any means to escape. So as I said, I thought this movie was terrible. To be quite honest, I don't really have anything positive to say about the movie other than the concept is interesting. I really like this idea of introducing these creatures and adding some level of mystery into who they are or why they exist. But the problem is here is the way that the characters are introduced and how much like happenstance there is surrounding the series of events here, and also how much blatant expositional dialogue there is in this movie that just completely and totally tells you every single thing that is happening in each and every scene. When I went to school for film production, I took a screenwriting class. And the first thing they tell you in screenwriting is show, don't tell. With filmmaking, you are supposed to show everything that the audience needs to know through the visuals. And you can have dialogue that aids it, but you are supposed to show the audience what is going on. This is an example of a movie that is just telling you everything through the dialogue in a way that becomes so incredibly obnoxious in the first 30 minutes that it's impossible to feel any kind of suspense or threat for the characters in this movie. They're just like, this is the coup. This is why this exists. And like after the first few times that they were cycling through this exposition, I just started wondering, when is this going to be over? And then when our lead character starts kind of stumbling outside and trying to like figure out why she's not allowed in these little holes and all of these things, the mystery surrounding it was so uninteresting to me. And when they started revealing plot twists towards the third act of the movie, the main plot twist of the movie was so easy to guess. After you figure out what the creatures are, it's like, okay, it's going to go 100% in this direction. I was not surprised by that whatsoever, but there's like this fantastical realism to what's going on, and I'm fine with that, but like do it in a way that's clever or that there's something alluding to it rather than just like, oh, it's this thing because it has to be something, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. And I don't know, like the circumstances surrounding it, I feel like there's so many interesting things you could do, especially when we cut inside. There's all these like VHS tapes of like old reality television shows. And I think there's something super interesting you could do with that idea and that concept to kind of shake up the viewer a little bit. But this went in a pretty typical Shyamalan direction, honestly. And it's upsetting because I can see that there is a vision here, but the vision really just wasn't executed well. I also thought most of the performances in this movie were bad, and there's some talent involved. I like Dakota Fanning, but a lot of this felt like people reading off a piece of paper. Their chemistry was not great. All the characters, especially the guy that was there, he was really bad. Like he was overacting so poorly throughout the entire movie that anytime he was on screen, I'm like, okay, can we move on to something else? Like this is getting really irritating. And I don't know, it wasn't scary, it wasn't suspenseful. They tried to add dumb jump scares in, like the touch somebody on the shoulder and they jump type of moment. And I don't know, I just felt like this was really lazy, and it had a really good base, but there's so much more they could have done with it, and I wouldn't recommend checking this movie out. It was just really a waste of time. So have you seen The Watchers? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was terrible. I really did not enjoy it at all, and I would probably never watch it again. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.